Fuck, Marry, Kill, Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, Angel Moroni.
Hallelujah, I am saved, I'm so glad I am. Glory, 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 glory to God.
Welcome to Girls Gone Godless, the podcast where mediocre white men don't make the rules. I'm Alia.
I'm Christina.
And I'm Noe. On today's episode, we will be interviewing our beautiful, stunning, amazing co-host, Alia, all about her journey with religion and how she got to where she is now. Sweet. Yeah.
Let's dive into the baptismal font. So I grew up in one religion and converted to another. And I think what we're going to talk about today is my journey with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so known as Mormonism.
Right.
So I joined the church when I was 19 and left when I was 25. So for 6 years, I was hardcore.
What kind of place were you in, like mentally? What drew you to that? Because the person that I know you as, when I met you, you had just left, and I could never in a million years imagine that you were Mormon. So I'm just curious, like, how did that begin?
Yeah. So I had dropped out of college. I was attending a Christian university in Texas. I realized I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life for work, and I kind of felt like I was wasting time and money being in school. And also, my great grandma had just died. I know it sounds like, oh, your great grandma, kind of like a faraway relative, but for me, I grew up with her. That's who my daughter is named after. Like, she was somebody that was a really important figure in my life. So her having just passed away, me feeling
Yeah.
like lost and without
That's like losing
purpose.
a parent.
Yeah, it was like losing a parent because I grew up without a dad. She was my daycare. She was my after school program. She was, a really big part of my life. So to lose her, yeah, it was like losing a parent. So I moved back home and needed to do something. And so I started working at Gap in the mall. And while I was working at Gap, I met this girl and she kind of seemed to have her life together, even though she was working at Gap. Not that there was anything wrong
Should
with
we
Right.
that.
tell our listeners what a mall is? No.
So we have to think back. This is 20, oh, sorry, this is 2009, 2010, like around that time. Okay, so I guess we'll set the time. And
Skinny jeans everywhere.
skinny jeans, skinny jeans with flip-flops. I feel like that was a thing.
Big, chunky statement jewelry.
Not quite yet. I feel like that's like
No?
2011, maybe, right?
Double tank top, like 2 different color tank top.
Business casual to the club.
That's why
Okay.
the Gap was a popular
Right.
place to yeah.
Okay,
So lots
go
of
on.
business casual, skinny jeans. I started working at Gap, met this girl, and she was like, "Oh, like come to this game night at my church." And I was like, "Okay, I love games." I was still considered myself Christian at that point. I'd grown up in church. I'd gone to a Christian university, so like church is something I'm very familiar with and comfortable with. And I went, and it just so happened that it was at the local Mormon church. By game night, what she meant was something called family home evening, and we will get into that. And so, it was a game night, but there was also, a sermon type thing and like
Right.
sharing of scripture and, music. And I was like, this is cool. Like all these people are around my age, this can be a thing in my life. I'm needing community. Like I just moved back home, so like I kept going and eventually took lessons with the missionaries. And since I'm a woman and the missionaries are men, we had to have lessons outside of my house. They would come and we would sit on the front porch, or we would have meetings at the church itself with another male around because of course that was fine. So I eventually got baptized, and the Mormon church became my whole community, my whole social scene. I dove right on in. I don't know if this is the ADHD with it being a hyperfixation or what, or if it was just what I needed in that time. Like I said, I great grandma had passed away. I dropped out of school. Didn't really felt like I had like a lot of purpose in life, and it fit like it just fit right in. It was just
Yeah,
the
I'm
right
sure it
thing.
was a mix of both, and you're
Yeah.
also the kind of person that's like, "If I'm gonna do something,
Yes.
I'm gonna do it to the full." So I can imagine that you're like, "Okay, well, if I'm gonna be a Mormon, I'm gonna be the best Mormon ever."
Nailed it. Yes.
Yeah.
So I took to it like a fish in water, right? I was already,
And no
Christian.
question, like, you weren't
No,
like, in the beginning, there was no, like,
not a
this is what I
question.
do" nothing, okay.
No, opposite actually. I felt like it made the most sense, right? So I felt like the Mormon church answered some questions that I always had that were never answered previously. So I remember specifically one thing being that I always questioned, like, how did we get here? Where did we come from? And Mormonism had an answer for that, that like in the premortal existence, we were spirit babies living in heaven, and then we get a body, and here we are. So I always wondered, like, why is the church not more organized? And Mormonism had an answer for that. Like, there was an organization to the structure of the church where there is a head prophet. And that was another thing I wondered was, why do we not receive prophecy and revelation today? Like, why are there not prophets like there were in Bible times? Mormonism had an answer for that. So it was the opposite. Did I have a question? Was there a doubt? There was not a doubt because to me, where I was in my life and the things that I knew about Christianity and the questions that I had, the Mormon church answered all of those questions.
Right. Plus, they are very convincing, and I mean, very friendly, very social. Like, if you meet them, they're some of the
Mhm.
most helpful people ever. I mean, obviously,
Yes.
the church has a lot of dark history and things behind the scenes, but they also do a lot of good. So I can understand why someone who is needing that community would be like, fuck yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, my mom always told me that after she had me, there was a lot of Mormons in the neighborhood, and they fed her for a month, even though she wasn't Mormon. But just because she was a neighbor, they brought her meals every day, and so she said she always she didn't know much about Mormons, but that she knew that the ones that she had always interacted with were very helpful.
Yeah, and those are the good parts. Like, we're not saying all religion is terrible. Like, obviously, there's a reason for it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have lasted so
Right.
long, you
And I
know?
think that if you're a good person, you're just a good person. Like those people, even if they weren't Mormon, would probably have it in them to bring a meal to somebody who just had a baby, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But Aaliyah, did you have any preconceived note like the stereotypes of Mormons? Did you have any of that like in the back of your mind, the polygamy or anything like
I
that?
didn't know I didn't know anything. I didn't really grow up around any Mormons. I knew a few, there was, I think, a couple of kids in my high school that were Mormon. I had a crush on this guy in 2nd grade, and he was Mormon, and, like, I remember asking my mom about it at some point, and she was like, "I don't know, I think they believe that they get their own planet or something," and I was like, "That's interesting," like, as a
Right.
9-year-old or
As a
whatever.
kid, you're like, that sounds
Right.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, I knew very, very little. Like, I knew Utah was a thing for them, but, like, I didn't really know very much. I mean, this is, like, 19-year-old, 20-year-old me. So, yeah, I didn't know a whole lot. I didn't know any of the bad stuff. And then what happens when you join the church or start taking lessons with the missionaries is they tell you, like, "Oh, people are gonna have a lot of, like, bad things to say." And there was a big push to not absorb any content or material that was not produced by the church. So, any religious content that I was absorbing or reading or listening to was produced by the church because that's what I was told. And
Right.
I'm a rule follower.
Same. I
Yeah.
know that's why I'm really glad that there's something in me that keeps me away from it because I would join a cult probably because if people tell me this is what you do, like I really want to do that. So
100%.
was the marriage thing was that like pushed on you because of your age? Were they immediately like, "Hey, you should get married and start popping out babies" or anything like that?
No, not so much. So, how the Mormon church is organized is in wards. So, I joined a YSA ward, which is a young single adult ward. So, everyone in my church group, so the people that like I went to church with on Sundays and did Sunday school with and did third hour of church with, so church was 3 hours. Everyone was between the ages of 18 and 30. Um, and we're single. So the pressure is like there in the structure, and the pressure is there in the messages of the church, but there was never like an individual pressure of
Right.
my bishop or anybody saying like, hey, Aaliyah, sit down with me and have this conversation, like you need to get married.
Right.
Like
I'm
that
sure
was not a thing.
I'm sure it helps that, like, you didn't have the Mormon family pressure
Yeah.
as an element.
Yeah, so that wasn't like a thing that I had to deal with either, right?
Yeah.
So it was just I just have regular normal parent pressures that any 19 or 20-year-old would have. And for me, that was like, okay, you dropped out of college. Like, what are you doing with your life now? Like, that was more so like the pressure
Right.
in my household at that time.
And how did your parents feel about you becoming more? Because they were Pentecostal still at that
Yeah.
point,
So my
or?
mom, yeah, at that time, my mom wasn't really going to church so much at that point. Church has always just been like a central kind of like theme and focus for her. And Christianity's always been like a big thing for her. But I don't really know that she was really, like, plugged into a church at that point in time. Her biggest thing is, like, cool, like, you're still following the beliefs and tenets of Christ, like, cool. I don't really care.
That's
Like,
good.
Yeah.
there wasn't, like, a big, like she wasn't against it. She wasn't all in for it, but she came to my baptism and, like, she would come to Mormon church with me if I was, like, speaking that day in church or whatever, which happened, like, every once in a while. She was always supportive of whatever I was doing, but that's kind of just how my mom is, like, no one knows. She's, like, the biggest hype person, like,
Yeah.
if you're doing something, she's excited for it.
100%.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's why we gotta get her on the pod. She's gonna be like, "Noe, you're so good at talking about yourself. You're so good at telling your story. You don't sound autistic at all."
She would say, "I love that. I love how your background is black and glittery." Like, that's what my mom would.
Right.
Yeah.
Of her.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
that's awesome.
So, no, she wasn't, like, against it, and, she
What
was like,
about
"Cool."
friends? Like, did anybody in your life go, are you sure
Yeah,
this is
so
what you want to do?
I had one friend that I had grown up with. Her and I had known each other since, I think, 4th grade, and she was my best friend kind of, like, all throughout life, and she was like, "You know they're racist, right?" And I was like, "How?" "I've not experienced that. I hear what you're saying, but, like, I've never, whatever." So that was, like, the one, like, chirp, 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 where, like, I should have listened more, but I was like, "I'm not experiencing that, and so I'm not gonna hear it," but it was, like, in the back of my mind, and so I think at some point I did look into, like, what she meant by that, and I did ask my bishop some questions about race and the church, and I got the answers that they always give. So for those that don't know, the Mormon Church didn't give Black people the full authority of the church. Like, the men couldn't receive the priesthood, which is the power to give priesthood blessings. It's the power to be able to, like, I think, hand out the sacrament, which is like the communion. Black people couldn't go through the temple to receive their full temple endowments. Like, those things weren't allowed for Black people until after 1978. And so I asked my bishop about that, and his answer was, we never know why God chooses to do the things that he does.
For those of you
Don't know.
listening, I'm rolling my eyes so hard into my head right now.
Yeah. It's like we don't know why God chooses the things that
Just
he
have faith.
does.
Don't ask questions. Just have faith.
Yeah, yeah, that and, he was like, "Well, don't wonder why, Black people didn't receive the full, priesthood authority till 1978. Why didn't the rest of humanity not receive the full keys of the kingdom or the full priesthood authority until Joseph Smith restored the church in 1830 or whatever?" So,
Right. So black people couldn't technically get into like the full heaven with the all that stuff.
yeah, so not until 1978. So in order to access the full, mm,
Shebang.
yeah, the full shebang of the church. You have to, have gone through the temple and received your endowments, which, um, we could talk about that. Yeah. So, I guess we can, like, circle back a little bit. I was 19, 20 when I got baptized. One thing that I noticed that was happening for a lot of people was they were preparing for their missions or they were preparing to get married, and what happens before that is that they go through the temple and receive what's called your endowments, and the temple is considered this very sacred, I'll say secretive, but they say sacred, um, kind of thing. And like, you don't really know what happens in the temple because it's so sacred, like, nobody talks about it. What I did know, what I remember knowing before going through it myself was that you get special underwear afterwards. And
Magic underwear.
your magic underwear. And I also remember knowing that it was just supposed to be this like higher level of a spiritual experience than what you experience outside of the temple. So before receiving my endowments, my experience with the temple was going for baptisms of the dead. Um,
Let's get
which
into that. Oh, you don't know about this, Christina?
No, like
Okay.
dead Mormons? No, not dead
No.
no,
Mormons. Dead
no,
non-Mormons.
yes,
Like just random people or like people you
yes,
know?
yes, yes,
Like a
yes to
list, like a
both.
database?
Yes, yes.
Again, for people listening right now, the face I'm making is like, "What?"
So the belief is that the people who were not baptized with the proper priesthood authority, who were not baptized in the Mormon church, in order to receive the full kingdom glory of heaven, the whole shebang, they have to be baptized with the proper priesthood authority. And so, how that happens after they've passed away, if they didn't receive it while they were on earth, you could do it by proxy. So what that meant was people like me would go to the temple. We would take like a trip with our YSA ward. We'd go like once a month and you would get 10 names of random people, or you could bring names of your own people who have passed away in your family.
Like your neighbor died and you could just baptize them without their consent after they died.
Yep. So you would get like this little printout card. So I feel really terrible about this, but I did it for my great grandma. So I had this card with her name on it and like when she was born and when she died. And there was like four boxes on this card. So the first box was baptism, the second box was confirmation, and the third box was initiatories. Or no, maybe it was the third box was the endowment, and then the fourth box might have been for the sealing. And I'll go through all of what that is. So I performed a baptism on her behalf. So I wore a white jumpsuit. They have a baptismal font that is held up by, I think, 10 or 12 oxen, not real ones, like statues of oxen. You guys can Google it. Like, I encourage people to Google what these things look like.
Big Love
Yes,
is
please.
failing me. I haven't gotten to any baptisms of the dead or
Yeah.
oxen.
So you go to the temple, you get in your white jumpsuit, you get in the water in the baptismal font in the hot tub, and then somebody baptizes you for these 10 people that you have. So you could either have a random stack of names or you bring your own names or a mix mash of whatever and you get baptized 10 times.
So I have a question before we move on from the dead baptisms. Growing up, I always wondered because my family is very Mormon, I'm not, but I always thought, well, if you can just do that for me, then why would I need to follow all of the rules and do all of this in my lifetime because you're just going to do it for me when I'm dead, right? So like if that was real,
Like, do they always do it? Like, if somebody in their family passes away who wasn't Mormon, they do that?
Uh, that's why, or that's one of the reasons why, like, genealogy is such a big aspect of Mormonism, is so that, like, people can pull the names of all of their ancestors.
Is there a quota?
I don't think there's a quota for baptisms of the dead or doing, like, temple work for the dead because it's not just baptisms that are done either, right? So it's also, like, all the other things. So
didn't know that.
really? Okay, so, like,
No.
after you're baptized, so, like, when I got baptized for myself, I think I got baptized, like, on a Saturday, and I think the following Sunday, I was confirmed in the church, so that means, like, Sunday during sacrament meeting, which is, like, what people would think of as, like, the main church service on Sunday. During sacrament meeting, I sat down in a chair, and a group of dudes put their hands on my head and, like, confirmed that, like, I'm a member of the church, so you do that also for the people who have died, so once
Okay.
they've had their baptisms done, then you can do their confirmations in the
Gotcha.
temple as well. And then if you have received endowments, so the full shebang in the temple, like once you get the Mormon underwear. If you've done endowments, you can then do endowments by proxy for somebody else. And then you can also do a sealing by proxy. So a sealing is like the temple. I don't know why I'm doing this with my fingers. The sealing is like the
That's the
temple.
secret handshake.
Scissor for Jesus.
Yeah, scissors.
Oh, for our
Wait.
audio listeners, we are scissoring with our
Scissoring our
fingers
fingers.
individually, not inside of each other, just motioning.
Just separate but equal.
Wait, Mormons
So
believe in Jesus, right? It's not like
yes,
Yeah.
God and
White
Joseph
Jesus.
Smith, and there's not that. Okay.
so they believe in Jesus, they believe in God, and they believe in the Holy Spirit. That they're three separate beings, not like
Trinity together, like one person.
it's described it as like a scoop of an ice cream cone, right? So like there are three scoops on a cone, so separate but
Okay.
together, and that God had a physical body. I feel like that's a thing. That's how he has spirit babies, and that's how they
Right.
exist. Yeah.
So he's got a
boning.
spirit
He's
dick.
boning somebody.
Yes, Heavenly Mother, but we can't talk about her, right? Like she's
Right. So, for our listeners who don't know much about Mormonism, would you be able to tell us the distinction between, like, say, how you were raised Pentecostal versus what's different about the Mormon church?
So I'd say like the biggest thing, the big selling point is that the Mormon church is the full restoration of the gospel. So the belief is that Joseph Smith, who was a person who lived in upstate New York in like 1820 or whatever, he was praying in the forest, and like maybe God and Jesus and Peter, it's all kind of fuzzy. For people who don't know, I'm drinking alcohol. This is not water anymore. So things are a little fuzzy. Let's just be crystal clear here. So, for the full restoration of the gospel, I think maybe Peter and Jesus came down and touched Joseph on the head to give him like the full proper
Right.
authority. So, like when I mentioned having a baptism that was performed under the full authority, it's that this authority had been passed down directly from Jesus himself onto Joseph Smith, and then Joseph Smith passed that on to everybody else afterwards.
How kind of
He's
him.
the prophet, right? Joseph Smith
Yes.
then is
Look at me. I'm the prophet now.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So basically, Jesus did a special touch on Joseph, and so that's why there's so many special touches in the church. Oops.
Oh,
Of
there's
many
special
of
touches
many
in the church.
sorts.
Oh.
Of many
Many special
sorts.
touches.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's the one big difference, is that Mormons believe that they are the one true church because they had a direct touching of Jesus onto Joseph Smith, and then that's passed down. And then also that there's the Book of Mormon. Like that's kind of like the big
Right.
difference.
Is that like the next in the series to the Bible? They believe like they completed the story kind of thing?
Pretty much. So, what happened, and this is obviously 100% totally true, not false whatsoever. Um, Joseph Smith was out in the forest and he prayed to an angel, and the angel was like, "Hey, Joseph, like, go dig over here. There's something I want you to see." And so Joseph Smith is like, "Okay, I'll go dig over here to see what you want me to see." And so he, digs and he finds what is now known as the Book of Mormon. However, it's on gold plates. So like sheets of gold, layered like a binder
Yes.
of gold plates. And it's written in a language called Reformed Egyptian. And so in order to read this, he has to like translate it for everybody to be able to read. So again, this is 100% true, not false whatsoever at all. And it makes 100% sense.
Of course.
Of course, he
Yeah.
gets a hat and he gets some rocks and he shakes up the rocks in the hat. And with the stones of the rocks and looking at the gold plates, he's able to translate the Book of Mormon from the gold plates to what we now have
Right.
as the most true scriptures on earth as the
Right.
Book of Mormon.
And so he found these ancient documents that had ancient Egyptian on them?
Reformed Egyptian.
Reformed Egyptian.
Yes.
Where New York?
Yes, he found that in upstate New York. And
Okay.
the story of the Book of Mormon basically is that a group of Jewish people got on a tiny little boat and they were given a magical golden compass called the Liahona, and that guided them across the Atlantic Ocean over to like Mexico, South America ish. And they created a new like civilization and world in South America, Mexico-ish, hard to say. Don't really have a lot of archaeological
Right,
evidence of
because it
this.
didn't happen. I mean,
Right. Yes.
No, it's
This is
100% true.
100%
I'm sorry.
true.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jinx.
So they came over and there's all these stories of war and like whatever, similar to like the Bible, but it's different because Joseph Smith translated it from the golden plates, so it's real. And so eventually also what happens is like Jesus Christ, after he died
We
over
know that
in
Joseph Smith was like on acid or ate some mushrooms in the forest, and this is where all this
No, this is from
fucking came from.
God. This is from Heavenly Father. God,
I'm
Christina,
already
stop.
annoyed with this. I'm done. No more
Just
podcasts.
listen to the story.
Listen to the story. It's 100% true and real.
I know.
So
I've
Jesus Christ
seen I've
himself,
seen the
like,
play.
okay, well, you saw the play, so you know. Jesus Christ himself came over to Mexico, South America-ish, and, like, he did Jesus-y things over there too, and so, like, this was his, like, final stop on the resurrection tour, was in, you
Is
know,
its farewell tour.
his farewell tour before he, like, went up to heaven and did his heaven stuff, like, while he was doing his earth stuff, he came over,
Okay.
um, and so, like, that's what Mormons believe.
Wait, but what's the
Oh,
whole like Garden of Eden is like in a whole other state
Jackson
thing?
County, Missouri.
Yeah, it's in Missouri.
But they believe like it's the Garden of Eden, like with the apple and the serpent and Adam and Eve. They believe in Adam and Eve,
Mhm. They believe in the Bible
but they okay. Why Missouri? Missouri?
because it's God's country.
And stay tuned about God's country. We'll be getting into Christian nationalism next week, and you won't want to miss it.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are pretty big differences between mainstream Christianity and Mormonism.
Because Pentecostal is, I mean, it's
Not that.
Christian,
It's
right? But
definitely
I
not.
mean, it's like the whole Christianity
It's like the Bible,
proper,
right?
but yeah, the Bible,
Yeah.
but they just take it far with the exorcisms and speaking in tongues and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. So the
The
Mormons,
Holy Spirit flows through them or whatever it does.
yeah, yeah, and like shakes their body into seizures
So,
and stuff.
in the Book of Mormon, all of those events are happening in America?
Yeah, it's like South America, Mexico-ish.
Okay.
Everything
Yes,
that
I
happens
think
in the Book of Mormon is
yeah, like, growing up, I don't think I grasped that because, I mean, they would read me the Book of Mormon, like, as a bedtime story, so I was raised in it, but I just didn't like it, so it didn't stick. But
yeah,
I always imagined it like, "Oh, they're all over there, like, in Jerusalem," and, like, that's how I imagined it, and then growing up to learn they thought that these people were just in America,
yeah.
it just blows my mind.
So Joseph Smith was he Christian? Do we know like what was he before he
Yeah,
became a
so,
prophet?
before he came up with the Mormon Church, he was Christian of some kind, right? Like, I feel like there weren't a whole lot of options for Christianity at that point, right? This was, like, before Pentecostalism, this is before obviously before Mormonism, this is before Jehovah's Witness, there was just kind of like, I don't know, like
Lutheran was I feel
yeah,
like
that was a
that
thing,
that
Lutheranism
whole
was a
Lutheran
thing,
thing.
Puritan,
Yeah.
is that
Puritans were a thing, the
yeah.
Methodists were a thing, the Baptists were a thing, and basically what happened was Joseph Smith prayed to God to see which church he should go to, which church was right, and God was like, "None of them are right. You're gonna
Make
make
your
your own
own.
church."
Where you can fuck multiple women.
Mhm. And
So,
that's the whole thing up until like man's law versus God's law or whatever, right? Like polygamy and all that kind of stuff was part
yeah,
of it from
so
the go.
I things are a little fuzzy.
So take another sip. I'm sure they'll get clearer.
Things are a little fuzzy. Uh, it's been like 10 years since I went to Mormon church, but, I can't remember exactly where the polygamy comes in, but, like, it's early, like, it's from the get-go.
Yeah,
Because he was married to Emma? I feel
right,
like
and
that's,
then
like
I shouldn't be the one to talk about Mormon history, but I don't care. There was, like, what, like, a 14, 15-year-old girl, and he wanted to marry her, and he's like, "God has told me."
yeah. So that's the thing
Yeah.
is, like, there's, the principle of, like, continuing revelation throughout all of this time is that Joseph Smith is the prophet, and so he's continuing the revelation and prophecy that he's hearing from God himself directly, and again, this is 100% true. Um, so God was telling him the things that he should be doing on the earth and,
And nobody else could hear it. So
right, nobody else could
there
hear
was
it.
nobody like nobody else to back him up. So
Right.
he's
Only
just
he
like,
could
"Oh yeah,
see
this."
the special language and plates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So that's what I remember about the origins of the church. And then Joseph Smith slowly tried to bring the religion out west. He was killed in Illinois, and then Brigham Young was the next prophet of the church. And so then Brigham Young is the one that like made Utah what it is today. Like they brought the church to Utah. And he had a lot of wives too and was gross. So
You know what I think is funny is that, like, I'm a queer woman and I come from a religion where they got to have sister wives, and I'm like, you were almost there. You were so
you're
close
so
to you're
close.
so close to doing something cool, and you did it in the most lame, like, fucked up way.
It's
Like,
religion for you.
What I know of Mormonism, obviously, a lot of it I'm sure is stereotypes and stuff, but I just have a really hard time with the young girls, like just, I mean, all religions, I have issues with the way that they treat women and how we're just, here to breed and all.
Vessels.
There's just something about Mormonism that has always just like bugged me about the way that it treats girls and
Yeah.
women, and I have a really hard time when I find out something is funded by or going to help the Mormon church. I can't do it. That's why I don't eat crumble cookies. I'm like, no, because I know that you're tithing to a church that is preying on, young girls, and yeah, I can't do it. But anyway, sorry.
I mean, yes, and that's the problem with almost all organized religions is there's the subjugation of women in some form or fashion, right?
is there anything you miss from religion?
Certain thing that I miss, maybe just like the community aspect. That would probably be like the biggest thing is you always had somewhere to go or somewhere to be or something to do. Like the church took up so much time of my life that there's definitely like a void that hasn't been filled in that same
Right.
way ever since. Like you're in church on Sunday for 3 hours. You have family home evening, which is on Monday nights. We would meet. This was the game night that initially roped me in. You would meet up together and you would have, a little spiritual moment. So whether that was like reading something from the Book of Mormon or having like a little lesson or something, there'd be like a song and an activity and usually a snack or something. So that was Monday nights. And then depending on like what other callings you had in the church or like trips up to the temple, like you were doing something like multiple nights a week. So to like have like a built-in community or like to be surrounded by like-minded people, I think that's something that we miss, like, in our adult life in general, and,
Right.
um, yeah, so I think that's something that I do miss about the
Yeah.
church, but I wouldn't say that there's anything that I miss specifically about Mormonism or the
No, no,
LDS
no.
church, but just about
Right.
church in general, I would say
Yeah.
that's definitely a
Always
thing.
having people around, always having something to do. And you
Yeah,
are a person who likes to stay very busy now, so do you think that you're, like, trying to fill that hole a little bit with, like,
all the
finding
things
your
that I do all the
finding
time.
your new yeah.
Yeah.
School and babies and podcast and
She's done it all, folks.
But yeah, I think that's definitely a thing. I like to think that I am always a scientist. And what I mean by this is I felt like I needed to perform an experiment at some point in my time as a Mormon. I am going to phrase this in a way that I don't believe, but I was struggling with same sex attraction at some point. Um,
Yeah,
I'm bi.
we've all felt those demonic feelings
Yeah,
down
those
below.
demonic feelings down below. And I kind of felt like, do I know this as a thing for sure? Like, I've never like, kissed another girl or anything like, whatever. So, once a scientist, always a scientist. I decided one day I was going to go to a strip club and I was going to see like what feelings came up. And like, so I did. I went to a strip club and I felt some feelings.
And the angels sang
Heavens opened up, whatever.
Angel Moroni came down and was
And
like,
touched me in a
yeah.
way. And so
boobs.
all
Thank
the
you for
body
that
parts.
contribution,
Yeah.
Christina.
I'll also
Boobs.
I'll also mention that at this strip club, they also had a barbecue lunch, which was quite delicious, but that's neither here nor there. And so, like, I felt really guilty, like, about what I had done. I felt guilty that I went to a strip club, and I felt guilty that I felt a certain way, like, for going. And so I prayed about it and decided that I needed to tell my bishop that I had
Did
done
you
this.
have what they call on Love Island UK fanny flutters?
Yeah, I had fanny flutters. Um, so there was lots of fanny flutters, and so I decided I'm gonna go tattletale on myself because I'm a rule follower, like, we've talked about this, and so I went and told my bishop, and it was a whole big thing where, I ended up having to have, like, a disciplinary council. Yeah, so the bishop and his 2 counselors had to have, like, a meeting with me, and this is, like, really gross, but they made me recount, like, everything that happened that day and, like, what I saw and what I felt, and, like, I don't know, it just felt really gross.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
That's terrible, and you know
Or
that
yes.
they were all probably getting off on it.
Absolutely. Like,
Yeah,
absolutely. They made me write it down, like, write down, like, an account of what happened and, like, what I was feeling in my body and in my heart and in my spirit, and they told me that I needed to, like, enter a time of, like, atonement and repentance, and so, in the Mormon church, you will often have, like, a calling, which is basically like a job in the church, and so at that time, my job was that I was, like, a ward missionary, so, like, if somebody, like, came to, like, investigate the church, I would go be friendly with them and, like, help the missionaries out or whatever. So, at that time, like, my calling was taken away. They told me that I couldn't, take the sacrament anymore. So, like, the bread and water that gets passed around when you're taking the body of Christ, I wasn't allowed to pray in church. So, like, at the beginning and ending of sacrament meeting, somebody would go up and, like, say a prayer. Like, if somebody asked me to say the prayer, like, I would have to tell them that I couldn't. So basically, it was just like a big punishment. I wasn't allowed to go to the temple to go do baptisms at that point. So they also, like, in that time told me to help, like, overcome these feelings of same-sex attraction that I should start thinking about getting married or, like, start dating in the church or whatever. So, I did. That's kind of like the lead up into.
How sad for all the gay and questioning and, bi and trans people in the church, right? Like, even right now, sitting there just like being punished for that stuff and pretending to be something that they're not and being forced to get married to overcome these feelings that are completely natural.
and Utah has, like, the highest teen
Suicide rate.
suicide
Yeah.
rate, highest teen homelessness. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. No, it's terrible. Like, and, I was so in it at that point where I was like, "Yeah, no, this is my fault. Like, this is my fault."
So, still
I
at this point, you're not questioning that there's something wrong with the church. Okay.
Something wrong with you.
With you.
yeah, and that the
Right.
church can fix it, or, like, the structure that the church provides can fix it. So, like, a while after, like, that happened is when I started dating.
I wanna hug you right now. Like, I wish there was
I
like
know,
a
I know. It sucks, right? Um, but don't worry, like, I have done years and years of therapy and am in a very good place, emotionally with my sexuality and, like, everything. So, yeah, I feel like that's a thing. That was kind of like a catalyst moment to what happened next, was I opened up myself to dating and ended up dating somebody who I had already known. So I think I mentioned that I had a crush on some guy in 2nd grade and he was Mormon. That's who I ended up marrying. And so we got married when I was 24. So I been in the church for like 5 years at that point. And then before you get married, kind of like I mentioned, or before you go on a mission, I didn't go on a mission. It just wasn't something that was appealing to me. And I feel like I was very
It wasn't you
new.
wanted to go and they were like, "No, you big fat lesbo, you can't go."
No, I didn't say anything like that.
Okay.
I mean, if I had gone, like, before I think I was 21 when I went to the strip club, right? Like, so if I had joined the church and, like, was serious, I was really serious and, like, into it, but, like, wanted to serve a mission then. But maybe if I had, then this whole thing would have never happened, and, like, I
Right.
wouldn't, I think
You
everything
could
that
you could have gotten married to your missionary partner. Les out.
that happens. Um, yeah, but
I've seen
anyway,
it in videos, just
I
kidding.
see it on TikTok.
Right,
Uh,
that's the website that I was also referring to.
okay, so, um
Sorry.
Yeah, so it's no, it's
Sorry.
okay, it's okay, it's okay. Lost my track of thought. That's
You
okay. So I
started
got
dating
started
and you got
dating
married.
before you got married.
Okay.
Before you get married, if you haven't already received your endowments, I feel like that's the big word of the day, is that you have to go through the temple to do that. And so what happens is, I imagine if you have parents that are in the church, you would do this with your mom or your dad or your older sibling or whatever. But I had a friend at the time and she was like, "All right, I'll be your like buddy and like I'll guide you through this experience that you're going to have." And I was like, "Okay." So we go up to Sacramento and we go buy myself some secret underwear. And it's like you go to this church store, distribution center or whatever, and you buy the garments, which is like a top and a bottom, and buy a bunch of them in like different fabrics to kind of figure out what you like, but you can't open them or wear them until after you go through the temple.
And you
So,
can't try return them, I imagine.
no, no. Of course not, because the church has to make money, right?
Right. Oh,
That
oh,
that's
yes.
that's what we're working with.
That's what we're working with. At least that's what we were working with at the time. I think they're different
Right.
now.
I
Right.
think now they can show their shoulders. Slutty.
Ooh, scandalous. So I had this like giant shopping bag full of garments in my house that I couldn't look at or go through because they're sacred.
Right.
And so we go to the Oakland Temple, and I'm scheduled to get married in the temple like the following Saturday. So we go, and the first thing
Are
that
you
happens is,
are you excited about getting married? Like
yeah,
planning
it's
and all that kind
yeah,
of stuff? Like, okay.
yeah.
That wasn't a very
I want to
convincing
say
yeah, but
in the back
okay.
of my mind, I knew that it wasn't what I wanted.
So is this like where like this kind of starts creeping in? Do you feel like there was a pivotal moment where like looking back you started to go, maybe this isn't for me, or
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, there was, but there's also like I feel like especially at this time in the Mormon church, there's a big campaign of doubt your doubts, which is something that one of the prophets at that time said, and it was like a big popular quote.
Turn
And
it off
so,
like a light switch.
like a light
Don't
Right.
switch.
don't think those things.
Yeah, just stop thinking like that.
Right.
Doubt your doubts.
Stop being gay.
So yeah, I knew there was a part of me that felt like this isn't the person and this isn't the way that I want to do this. But I'm, you know, I'm 24 or
And your
whatever. Like,
family like was accepting of the whole thing, or did they ever say anything to you?
so there was the whole thing of like, when you get married in the temple, the only people that can come are people who are worthy of going into the temple. So that was kind of like a big point of contention in my family. So yes, me and this friend, we go to the temple and this is also really strange. You can rent clothes in the temple. So when you go to the temple, you have the garments that you own that you buy, but then also you wear other clothes that are just like a long sleeved white dress that like goes down to your ankles and goes to your wrists. And then you also get white shoes that you wear and white pantyhose that you wear. And so you can rent all of these things at the temple. And I remember feeling like this is icky to me because in all of my Christian upbringing, it was like Jesus Christ threw out the money changers in the temple. And there's literally a cash register. And like that felt icky in a way to me that I'm exchanging money inside of this sacred place. So
Right.
like that was like the first like oof. So I go get my special clothes and then you also get for the women they get a veil and you get like a sash of some kind and then you also get like a fig leaf apron. There it is.
Fig leaf apron. Is that supposed
Yeah.
to be like
Like for Adam and Eve.
Eve and
Yeah,
okay. So you
yeah.
both wear them?
So this is when I'm just getting my endowment. So this isn't like when I'm getting married. Um, so you put on this whole shebang and you go sit in a room and women are sitting on one side and then men are sitting on the other side. And you watch a video, a movie. And it's about Adam and Eve and being in the garden and like there's Satan and it's like a whole thing. Um,
Missouri.
Wherever the fuck it is. I don't know. I also just want to mention, like, at this point, I am kind of losing my shit. at this point. Oh, I gotta circle back also. So before you get to the movie part is when you get to put your garments on for the first time, if it's your first time. And before that happens, you do a step in the process called the initiatory. So basically, I'm in a little cubby room, like a little cubicle type of thing, and I've got this giant, almost like a moo on, and then a woman comes in and like touch underneath the moo like on my skin, like touches my body, like in the places where the markings are on the garment. So like there's like a part here, a part here, a part over my belly button, and then like on my thigh.
For the audio listeners, that
Yeah.
was above your titties.
Yeah, above my titties, above my belly button, and then on my thigh. And I feel like she briefly said some words about like, I don't know. I can't remember. We can look it
It's
up and
okay. Yeah.
add it
She was
in. Or,
saying titty, titty, belly button, thigh.
yeah, titty titty belly button thigh. Protect your titties and protect your belly button and
And
kneel.
are you supposed to be a virgin? Like, is there any talk of like, are you a virgin?
In order to like, the church is very official. Okay, like it's very organized and very official. So in order to go to the temple, you have to have a temple recommend. In order to have a temple recommend, you have to have an interview with your bishop. And in that interview with your bishop, they ask you, are you keeping the law of chastity? Which are you not slutting out? Um, and then like, are you sticking to the word of wisdom, which is not drinking coffee, not drinking alcohol, not smoking, whatever.
Right.
So in order to like even get to the temple, you have to have gone through this interview process with your bishop. So, so they do the initiatory where they touch my titties and my belly button and my thigh. And then I can put on my garments and then I can put on the rest of my white dress and fig apron and
Fig.
veil and everything.
That's what we
Then
should wear. We should wear fig aprons.
It's giving Jedi.
it's giving chef. And then the men wear like a chef hat, basically. And I shit you not, it looks like a chef, like a floppy chef hat. So yeah, so you get your skin touches, you put on your secret underwear, then you put on the full get up, and then you go watch a movie. And by this point in time, like I said, I'm losing my shit. Like I'm just like, this is crazy. I'm in a cult. This doesn't make any sense. This is very weird.
And
I
you've
had
never
always
seen this process. Like, you've never seen this process before. Like, you don't see it unless you're actually like
Right. You're not even told about it.
yeah.
Like, very secretive.
You just know that you're going to have a very special, sacred, spiritual experience.
Is this that TikTok that you showed me with the people? And all the comments were like, this is why they don't tell you about this because you would leave.
Yes. 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 So what happens next? And again, I am having a full blown anxiety panic attack at this point. Like
As you should, yes.
I am hyperventilating. I am sobbing. My friend that's with me is like, girl, get it together or else like they're gonna kick you out and like you won't be able to get married next week.
Damn. When you looked around, was there anyone else you saw, like, upset like that?
No, and the thing is too is like some of the people that are there might not be doing this for the first time.
Right.
They're there doing it for like how I mentioned you do the baptisms by proxy. They're doing the endowment process by proxy for someone
Okay.
else. So like they've
Right.
done this. Like they've done
It's
this
normal to
a
them. Yeah.
100 times maybe even, you know? And there I am losing my shit. So what also happens during this time, and again the details are fuzzy because a full-blown panic attack, trauma response, blocked a lot of this out, and it's been 10 years, 10 plus years. You get a new name. This is the name that you'll be called in heaven, I guess. Or it's also used as like your secret code to get into heaven. So you guys can call me Phoebe.
What's up, Phoebe?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that
Yeah.
because
So
Oh, yeah, and speak
that's
on
the
that,
list.
that they all get the same name.
that day.
Depending
So
on
if
what
Right.
you
day.
Yes, so if you went to the temple on the 29th of the month or whatever it was, your name, if you're a woman, is Phoebe, and if you're a man, it's Barnabas. And there's a whole website where you can go look and see what day of the month is the names that are given.
How did you feel about that? Was that like, "Oh, so I'm not special," or like,
I didn't know. I thought I was the only Phoebe that day.
"Oh,
I didn't know this until way later.
okay." They weren't like, "This half of the room is Phoebe."
No,
this
because
half of the
it's a
room is
secret.
Barnabas. Got it,
You
got it.
cannot tell anybody your name. Like, it's a secret. Like, it's sacred. Like, so I think I can't like I said, the details are a bit fuzzy, so I don't remember if they told me, like, when they did the initiatory part. I don't remember exactly when it happened. But what I remember is this is also when they teach you the secret handshakes to get into heaven, and like, literal secret handshakes to get into heaven, and it's
For
not
our audio listeners,
we're
we
over here
are
doing the fingers
scissoring our
Scissoring
again
again
fingers
with our
again.
fingers.
So basically, you scissor your way into heaven.
with your hands. So
Right.
basically what happens is I think, again, fuzzy details, trauma
That's okay.
response, 10 years, alcohol. I think during the movie, they show you the secret handshakes. And then at the end of the movie, you like get up and you walk to a giant curtain, like a white curtain. And on the other side of the curtain is God or Jesus or maybe Peter or somebody. And you do the secret
Whoever's available
handshakes,
that day.
whoever's on call.
Right.
And you
Like
do the
like
so you do the secret handshakes through the veil, like through this curtain. And if you do the handshakes correctly, then they pull you through the veil and then you sit in this celestial room.
and if you
So
get it
it's
wrong, they kick you in the gut and
You
say, "Get
fall on
out
the
of here."
floor.
more or less, yeah.
Fall through a trap door.
Of alligators.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, so if you do the handshakes right, then they pull you through the veil. And I guess if it's your first time and you don't know what you're doing, they help you through it, you know. But that's
Nice of them.
how to right. So that
Complicated is this handshake? Like, are we talking like Parent Trap level? You
no,
know,
no,
where
no, 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 no. It's like you touch your index finger to like their wrist or like to the
Okay.
inside. So it's like the nail of the cross, like in their hand, and then like one in the wrist or something. It's like it's real
Okay.
basic. Like it's
I'm gonna
not
remember this next time I go to my Mormon family's house and I greet them.
yes.
I'm gonna
Do that. Like just like
okay.
poke your finger in their palm and see how they feel.
Noe and I have a secret handshake to get into heaven.
I love it.
Oh. We have,
It doesn't
little
work.
matching tattoos that when you put them together, they say cunt.
Very
Anyways,
cute.
the handshake.
So you do the handshake, you're pulled through the veil, and then you get to sit in this room that's called the celestial room. So for those that don't know, in Mormon theology and doctrine, heaven has multiple layers to it. So the first layer, like the most basic heaven, so like the free subscription service, is the terrestrial kingdom.
Okay, you get a lot of ads with that one.
Yeah, there's
Right.
ads. Yeah. And then like the next tier above that is the telestial. It's like terrestrial, telestial.
Tomato,
It's ta
tomato.
potato, tomato, whatever.
Right.
And then the highest level, so you've paid the most money because you have to pay your tithe and have the temple recommend and go through and get the secret handshakes and be sealed and whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Then that's the celestial kingdom. So they basically have this room in the temple that's like beautiful and like plush and it's got like chandeliers and like big comfy chairs and like you could just go sit in that room and revel in this spiritual experience that you just had. But remember how I'm like sobbing and like freaking out and so see this like quiet sacred room. So they had to kick me out. Like
You
I
got
had to
kicked
go.
out of heaven. You
More
got
or
kicked out
less.
of the third layer of the heaven cake.
Yeah. Basically it was just like, hey, can you like pipe down?
You're
Or
making you're making the celestial kingdom look bad.
Right.
right. Or can you like step out? Like, whatever. So yeah. So that was that part. And I sobbed the whole ride home. I sobbed the whole night.
And your future husband is not involved in any of this?
No, because he'd already done it.
And he was fine. Did you discuss this?
Yeah. We talked about it. And I pretty much said, like, I don't think this is real. Like, this is not.
Day. That day, later.
hmm and he was like, okay, like, what do you want to do? Like, do you still want to get married? Do you still want to get married in the temple?
And he thought this was real? Like he was on board and was like, this is fine? Or could you tell that he was really?
And so he was kind of like, I grew up in this, like, if this is what it is, if it's kind of weird, this whole thing's kind of weird, whatever. Do you still like, does it change how you feel
Did
about
he
me? Does it
ever
change?
confide in you that he thought it was bullshit, or he was just always like that? I feel like I
It's
need a
always,
clip.
he was always kind of like that.
Sorry.
It's okay.
My
You
hair
don't have
is
to be sorry
bothering
for
me.
needing a hair clip.
Can I go get a
Uh,
hair clip?
go
Go
get a hair
ahead.
clip.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
No, it's fine.
No.
Dance break.
Did you know anything about the temple? Like growing up in the church? Like,
No, not growing up, probably until I was like a teenager and I Googled it, but it blew my mind to see the pictures of the outfits and to hear about the weird handshakes and like because growing up surrounded by, Mormon family, going to the temple was a huge part of my family that I couldn't be involved in.
yeah,
So like they would be like, "Oh, we went to the temple. It was so wonderful." And so I had grand visions in my mind of what it was. So to find out what it actually was quite shocking. I'm like, "That's what y'all are doing in there? That's weird."
you're sitting and watching a video and then doing some handshakes and then sitting in a
In
hotel
a fake
lobby.
heaven, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
So the conversation was, do you still want to get married on Saturday or whatever it was? And I was like, yeah, like it's all planned. That was my whole thing. It was like, it's all planned already. But what felt really gross to me was that I was excluding my family from this thing that like I didn't believe in anymore. And part of what I was feeling was mm, having grown up in church and like I consider myself to be pretty well versed in Bible, specifically the New Testament, just because of my upbringing. And what I have always known, or like at that point, like when I believed in this stuff, was that like God knows me, right? Like there's a scripture somewhere that says like he knows the numbers of hairs on your head. You
Right.
know, if he can count the sparrows, he knows you. And what I felt was like, I don't need a secret handshake and a new name to get into heaven. Like, that just didn't make sense to me. It didn't sit right with me. And what I also felt was that if I'm at this place where I'm supposed to be experiencing this very spiritual thing, why did I feel so uncomfortable? And why did I feel so uneasy to the point where I'm having a panic attack, which I'd never had one before? Right? So, like, if you're telling me that this is the pinnacle of this thing that, like, I've been believing in for the last 5 or 6 years, that's not right.
Right.
It just didn't sit right with me, and I couldn't imagine getting married in this place and excluding my family from this thing, and I didn't believe in it anymore. Um, so we, went through with getting married in the temple, which is called being sealed. So the belief is that you marry this person on earth and they're your spouse in heaven, and you're sealed to them for time and all eternity. And so that only happens in the temple. So we go up to the temple, put on those silly clothes. So the white dress with the long sleeves. So not my wedding dress, just like a
Okay.
random, I go pay the money in the temple for the dress and the apron and the veil and the sash and the shoes. And you go into this little room. Yeah, the white pantyhose, real sexy, real sexy. You go into this little room and you kneel down over an altar type of thing. And so you're on one side, and then your person that you're marrying is on the other side. And like the guy says some words and you say yes. There's no I do, there's no I love you. Like I think the man is promising to be the, head of the household and like use his gifts for the church, and the woman is pledging to be by the man's side or whatever. And you just say yes to that. And then um that's it. You don't even exchange rings. It's not like a normal wedding at all.
Do you
And like,
kiss?
no.
And then
So
do you
none
get to have like a normal wedding after that, or that's like you go home and
yes.
that's it?
No, so, like, a lot of people will then have what they call a ring ceremony afterwards. So I'm trying to think back because it was a long time ago and I've, like, trauma response blocked most of this
Right,
out.
right.
I wanna say that we did the sealing in the temple on a Friday, and then the next day, Saturday, we had, like, ring ceremony and reception. So what you would think of as a typical wedding, we had that. So, like, I had bridesmaids, we, walked down the aisle, We exchanged some words, we exchanged some rings, we had a party, but of course, no alcohol, and there was food, and it was at the church, and that was that. So, to sum up, my experience with leaving the church was during what is considered like the most sacred experience of Mormonism. There was a quote at the time by one of the Quorum of the 12, which is like the prophet's homies. And I think it was David Bednar. And he said, sometimes there's revelations that come to you like a sunrise, where it's like a slow, gradual process. And sometimes there's revelations that come to you that are like a light switch, where it's just like an instant thing. And I would say that day was a light switch in my story. I went from gung ho, believing the whole thing being true, to, oh, this is all bullshit. And I don't really want anything to do with this anymore because I feel so uncomfortable and so uneasy with this experience. So I think I went to church for maybe 2 or 3 months after. And so what happens when you get married, if you're in the YSA ward, you then have to move to a different ward because I'm not a young single adult anymore.
Right.
I'm a
Fully
married
made
person.
now.
Yeah.
Right.
I went to that ward for probably like 2 or 3 months and was like, no, I can't sit here and like
God,
waste.
how did you even last 2 or 3 months? Fuck.
Well, I think part of it too is like, it's like when you go through a breakup, right? Like this had been a huge, huge part of my life. And even now, spirituality is something that's really important to me that I think that there is some big universal thing and there's experiences that we have in our life that you could consider spiritual or whatever. And at that time, for me, that was Christianity. And in that time specifically, that was Mormonism. And like I mentioned, it's 3 hours on Sunday, it's multiple activities during the week. It's how you know, it's a high control religion, right? They control what you can wear, they control what you can eat and drink.
Like, were
It's
you telling yourself at all, like, maybe it'll be okay? Like, maybe I can. No,
no.
you were just done.
No, I was heartbroken. Like there was a grieving process, I think.
Right.
And I think me continuing to go to church for those 2 or 3 months was part of that grieving process of like,
You have to like
this is not
wean
the same.
yourself.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had weaned myself off of
Right.
religion and
It's
off
like when
of
you're trying we'll be friends, right,
yeah,
with your ex, like, "Oh, we'll just be friends for now," but that
yeah.
never works. So
It never works, and it didn't. So, like, with my ex, he was like, "Okay, that's fine that, you're not gonna go to church anymore, but I still am," and he did for a while, and then he didn't, and we eventually got a divorce, not related to church or religion, just we got married young, and we were very different people. Your brain's not fully formed until you're 25, and we got married before that, and once my brain was fully formed, I was like, "This ain't
Oh,
it."
yeah.
So,
I
um
feel that.
yeah, so that's how I got out. I got out because this pinnacle peak of the spiritual experience that I was supposed to have was the most uncomfortable and most uneasy that I've ever felt in
Right,
a
and
place.
Right. Ugh. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it
It's good.
shapes, it shapes us, our experiences and stuff.
how long after you left, like, I'm sure there was a lot to deconstruct even though the belief
Yeah.
wasn't there anymore, like, modesty-wise or I don't know, any of that, like, how did you work through that?
So I this is really silly and I don't understand why, but I continued to wear garments still. Like even the 2 or 3 months after I stopped going to church, I probably wore garments for another year after
I
that.
remember you telling me that when we met. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
still were when we met or it was very recent, but, like, I remember you telling me that and just being shocked by it because of how we met at the gym. You were so wild and free in that
Yeah.
group class that I was just like, "This beautiful, brilliant woman." Yeah, so
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
you wore
no,
the garments for a while.
I did. And then I decided to not wear garments anymore. There was,
Right.
I can't necessarily remember if it was just like an all at once thing or if it was just like a light switch thing or if it was a sunrise thing. I do remember still wearing the garment bottoms, but not wearing the
Mm.
tops anymore.
So there was, like, a transition out of it, and then,
There
like, maybe
was.
you just cut the crotch out, like,
No,
slowly
no,
take away the pieces. No.
no,
You
I
don't have
had
to
to
wear them when you're having sex, right?
No,
no.
you do. Actually, the
No,
penis
For
has
you
to
like
go straight through the
pants.
fabric.
Okay.
no, we
There's not
know.
like, oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Is the whole like
There is no hole, there's no hole.
okay, there's no
No
hole.
holes
I get it. No
allowed.
holes.
There's no hole.
This is like just like a Mormon thing, but the whole what's it called? Soaking? Is that real?
Mhm.
Like is that real? Like or like doing butt stuff like and like as a loophole to get around or like oral is moral? Is that like I just saw that on Big Love. Is that a whole thing?
Okay, so I never lived in Utah, like, I didn't go to BYU, right? And I kind of feel like that if it is a thing, which I don't know, I've never met anybody that said that they did, like, that wasn't my culture, right? Like, that wasn't the version of Mormonism that I was around.
Right.
For people who are listening, if you don't know what soaking is, supposedly, like to get around the whole sex thing, you put your penis in and then, like, you don't move. You just let it soak. And then, like, a friend jumps on the bed to make it move so that you guys aren't technically
Right.
having sex. Um, Supposedly, it's like a loophole in Mormonism
I'm sure
sex
it has
thing.
happened, and like Aaliyah said, neither of us were part of that, like, BYU
Right.
culture, but I don't know. I mean, my family was really devout, and I that would be so blasphemous to them that,
Yeah,
like, I can't even.
I can't imagine that being a thing amongst anybody that I knew. However, comma, I was friends with this one girl, and she lived in Utah briefly. It's like she went to community college in Utah. So she didn't like get into BYU, but like she went to whatever community college was like around BYU. So she was still part of the culture. And I remember her mentioning something called floating, which is the same thing as soaking. But like at that point in time, I'd never heard the term soaking, but I heard her describe the same thing, but it was called something else. Oh, I don't know,
Okay.
just floating in there.
Floating. Just the Holy
So
Ghost. Just
And so, like
chilling.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear about soaking until, like, after I left the church, but then I was like, "Oh, that's what this
Floating
person
is.
said."
Right.
Yeah,
Was
about
talking
yeah.
about. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Ugh,
I
that's
saw
a
this
loophole.
hilarious TikTok, but, like, it's the same idea, but it's like when a Mormon wants to get a
The
tattoo.
tattoo.
So they're
Yeah.
just laying there like this, and the tattoo artist is just like this, not moving, but then there's someone violently rocking the tattoo chair. They're like, "Oh, I'm being tattooed against my will."
Oh my gosh. It's just so sad because it just shows you like it's human nature. Like you're just against all the things that our bodies are, and I'm not saying like I mean, I'm so not like purity culture and like all that kind of stuff. Like, if you don't want to have sex, then don't have sex. But the whole stigma around it and like people trying to find loopholes around these
Right.
natural urges is just, it's mind
I'm like,
blowing to
"That's
me.
worse because you're being tricky about it."
Yeah,
Like,
it's like,
isn't
at
that
least,
worse?
like,
Right.
be honest, like, be your full
And if
Right.
self.
God knows every freaking hair on your head, every pube, everything, then he's gonna know that there's a
He's
dick in
gonna be
there.
looking
And
down
it's
there, and he's gonna be like, "Something's not right here.
Yeah, I put
This."
this pube going this way. Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a relationship with anyone that's still in the church?
I don't have a relationship with anyone that's still in. What has been interesting though is coming across people who have left the church now since I've left. So like there's a couple
Mhm.
people that I've come across on TikTok where I'm like, "Oh, you're out now? Like that's great."
Exciting.
Like so that happens. I see that happen. So that's kind of cool.
Are there any practices or rituals from religion that you continue to practice?
No. Uh I
You
don't think
still
so.
you still eat bread?
I still eat bread.
drink
But
wine.
and drink wine. That's more of
Well,
like
yeah. So
no.
sacrament for Mormons, you don't get wine. You get a tiny mini Dixie cup of water and a cube of bread.
So not even grape
The
juice.
water supposed to be turned into wine? Is that the whole thing? Or
Well, it's
oh,
mostly the
because they
blood.
don't drink
It's the
alcohol. So
blood.
they
It's
don't
the blood of
it's
Christ.
the blood. Okay.
Yeah,
Blood of
that's the
Christ,
whole
yeah.
point of communion or sacrament
Oh,
is
right,
that you're
yeah, it's
taking the
the
body
body
of
and the
Christ
blood.
and the blood of Christ, but the church is so cheap that they just do water and bread. Like sandwich bread too. Not even the communion
Not even like a
crackers.
baguette,
Nope.
not a
It's like
focaccia.
Wonder Bread.
No. Do you know how many
Mm.
Mormons are in that room? And the Mormon church is so long that, like, I remember by the time that the fucking bread and water was passed around, I was like, "This is the best thing I've ever eaten," because it's like I'm
Especially if it
so
was
hungry.
especially if it was a fast Sunday. So like I think it's the first Sunday of every month you're supposed to fast, so you're not supposed to eat or drink
I
anything.
never did that.
Okay. And then the money that you would have spent on food for that day, you're supposed
Give
to,
to the church.
yeah, give to the church on top of your 10% tithe.
That sounds like an abusive relationship.
I think to me, I mean, we are gonna have a whole episode on that because I just think
Yeah, well, like, my whole family, they grew up so poor, like, my mom and all of her siblings, and majority of my grandparents' money went to the church, you know what I mean? So it's like they went without so that all of these people who are already rich, it's all going to the church. It's just crazy to me. So what's your life like now, like, spiritually?
Spiritually, what I believe is that we are all here for a reason and a purpose. I don't think that purpose was given by a man named God.
Right.
I don't think
He
God is
could
a
be
man.
named something else.
Yeah, it could be named something else. Probably not a man, probably not a woman
No.
either, but I
Right.
think whoever it is has tits because tits are great.
Not only
Uh,
that, but, like, bringer of life, hello, it's not gonna be a
right.
man.
I think there's some universal life force out there. I really enjoy, for me, a spiritual experiences when I feel small and I feel this is gonna sound however it sounds. When I feel insignificant and small, to me, that's a big spiritual experience. And here's what I mean by that. If I look up at the sky and I see all of the stars and I see the moon and I realize like how tiny of a little blip on the spectrum that is the universe that I am, to me, that is how I feel connected spiritually.
Right.
It's like, wow, like my life is so small. I am so small in the big context of the universe. Or I feel connected to something bigger than myself when I learn about science or when I learn about how we are created or how we evolve, like physically
Right.
evolve as a species. I did IVF to get pregnant. And for those of you that don't know, which is like everybody, I saw a picture of the embryo that me and my husband created that has become my daughter. And like this embryo that we chose, the embryologist was like, "This is a good one. It's already, like, hatching out of its shell on its own. We didn't even have to help it." And if you know my child, like, that is her. Like, she is everything. She is very sassy, and she's 1, but, like, she's a sassy one-year-old, and she's very determined, and, like, yeah,
Mhm.
like, that was her as an embryo, and, like, to me, that makes sense, and to me, that is a big spiritual experience.
Right.
We went to, France recently as a family, me and my husband and my daughter, and one of the things I wanted to do there was go to this gemstone museum. It's got one of the largest collections of crystals and gemstones in the world, and to me, that was awe-inspiring to be in the presence of these items that have existed for
Right.
thousands and thousands and thousands of years. To me, like, those are the things that
Yeah.
make me feel connected with our world and our planet and our universe. So I think that's what I believe in. I believe in these experiences that I've had. I believe in the connections that you make with people and that feeling when you meet somebody and you're like, I've known you before. I think that's real. I think you can feel that with places. I've gone, I've traveled to places where I'm like, wow, like I've never been to this place before. I don't speak this language. I feel safe and I feel at home and I feel like I belong. That's a spiritual experience to me.
Right.
So those are the things that I seek out. I seek out those experiences, and that's how I feel connected with the world.
Totally.
That's how I make sense of the world is those experiences like that.
Yeah, it's always confused me how people think that atheists or, just spiritual, non-religious people don't have those feelings. You know what I mean? It's like, why can't we appreciate these feelings and have these feelings? It's not just amazing because some guy made it. Like, it's amazing because it's amazing. You know what I mean?
And especially if you are scientific and you believe in the science of it all, like I was saying when we were in Yosemite and, I was having this moment of just like, I was never thinking God created all of this because I don't feel that. Like the earth was created from like the Big Bang and like all that kind of stuff and these plants
That's
and so
more
many.
that's more amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
the
Like,
fact that we exist at all, that is the crazy amazing part.
exactly. And like there's places that, humans have never touched and there's still animals that are yet to be discovered and all that stuff. I have never put that on anybody else other than the earth. Yeah. No, I feel you there. So at the end of every interview, when we have our lovely guests getting ready to sign off, we ask the same 7 questions to everybody. So it is Alia's turn for the first ever 7 minutes in heaven.
And I am so honored that it's me that's doing our first version of 7 Minutes in Heaven.
I'm sure we'll be covering a lot of, heavy topics. So this is a fun way to like end it on a light note. So first question, fuck, marry, kill, Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, Angel Moroni.
Oh, okay.
A lovely assortment.
I think I think if I kill Joseph Smith, then Brigham Young never exists. But if I have to choose, then I guess I'm gonna fuck him. And then I guess I'd marry Angel Moroni.
Does he have wings? Like that kind of angel?
Yes, and he's got a trumpet. And he's like on top of a lot of temples.
Okay, so you said fuck Joseph Smith.
Yes. No, I said kill
No,
Joseph Smith.
kill.
Fuck Brigham Young.
Oh, you're just
It's
taking
just
one for the team.
it's just a quick one. Like it's just a quickie. Like he's not gonna last that long. Like
No, he'd probably die halfway through. So
exactly. Like
cool.
yeah.
Okay,
And then I would marry the Angel Moroni.
he's an angel.
He's an angel.
Okay. Second question. What do you think happens when we die?
I think whatever happens is what you want to happen when you die. I think for me, I'm just going to be like a spirit angel baby who just travels a lot. That's what I think is going to happen. I'm going to be invisible and I can just hop on planes or like travel and just go see cool stuff that I didn't get
Why
to see when
would
I
you
was
have to
alive.
hop on a plane? Couldn't you just fly or teleport
No,
there?
stop it. Some people like the experience of being on a plane, okay?
Who?
Like,
Matt Gates?
anyway, I think it's whatever you want. I think whatever you want to happen when you die, if you believe that you're going to get reincarnated, I think that's what happens. If you believe that you're going to go hang out in heaven with your family, I think that's what happens. I think it's whatever you want.
Okay, I like that. And on to like a much more serious question. Who's the hottest deity?
Shango.
And would you fuck them?
Yes, I would. So Shango is an African deity. He's considered like the god of like thunder and lightning and fire and justice. And he's just like a big African man with a
Bring in the thunder.
bringing the thunder with a double-headed axe.
I thought you were going to say double-headed something else.
Sure, you thought that I was going to say that.
I did.
Headed axe. All right.
Swinging around
I
for
could get into that.
justice. Yeah.
So our next question is, what's your Jello salad? And for people who don't know, Jello salad is quintessential Mormon food. Basically, what we mean is, what's your dish from religion?
Yeah.
What's
No,
your Jello salad?
what's your Jello salad? Like, what is the food of your religious culture that you still continue to eat? And I had to think long and hard about this one. And it's Hawaiian haystacks. And so what that is imagine like a chicken gravy type of thing. And then you've got an array of toppings kind of set up. And so the base of this is rice. And then you put this chicken gravy. And then the toppings that I would add would be the crunchy noodles and some green onions and some pineapple.
Why are they called Hawaiian haystack? Because like the rice and putting the gravy on and
Pineapple.
Yeah, the pineapple.
Okay,
Yeah.
pineapple.
Yeah.
It's very authentic.
It's very authentic, very Mormon dish.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck. Probably just fuck. I think it's so universal. It's a
Mhm.
noun, it's a verb, it's an adjective. You can use it as it's a single word. You can yell it out. You can whisper it under your breath. It's fuck.
There's so many things you can do with it.
So many things you can do with fuck.
It is great. I do think that out of all these questions, that's going to be like the universal thing that brings us together is the word fuck.
Fucking brings us together, guys.
It brings us
Just
the fuck
remember
together.
that.
It really does.
And for our 7th question, last question, what's your guilty pleasure?
Reality TV, watching
Same.
reality TV, like a good couch rot of watching Love After Lockup, I would
I
say is
haven't seen
definitely.
that yet. I need
You
to
have
watch it.
you have to watch it. Oh, and then I
Because
think we did skip a question of if I was gonna start a cult today, what would the
oh,
Sorry, I love
That's
that
okay.
question. Okay, that wasn't our final question. Um, if you were going to start a cult today, what would the cult uniforms look like?
Robes. All different colored robes, and you can't wear any underwear, no bras allowed, no
Okay,
underwear allowed. It's
I'd
just
join.
right?
robes of different colors. You could choose your own color even. It would just be robes.
Okay. Is it like a monochromatic look? Like you have to be a
Yes.
full. Okay,
Yes, and that's your
I
color
like
for
that.
life in the cult. So if
Like
you
the
sign up,
silky
yeah,
robes?
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
What
you
about
stand,
velvet?
yeah, whatever,
Any
Whatever.
fabric.
any
Any
robe,
Okay.
kind of okay.
any robe, and the rule is that you have to be naked under the robe. Like
Okay.
if it's a
And
cult, I want easy access to everybody's body.
right, because that's what they do. Is it like tied or is it just
No,
fully
just full,
open?
like a moo
Okay.
almost. Just like,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
a
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, I love that.
yeah, that's what it would be. Real simple,
yeah.
Perfect.
real easy. And like, I'd be like,
Yes.
oh, that's a orange person. Or like, oh, that person's a purple
Right.
person.
And maybe you could make it like a ranking system
Could
when they
be.
piss you off, like
Yeah.
you've been demoted to
Yes.
chartreuse.
Yep. That's what it is. Or it's like, all the purple people have to go over there. I'm sick of purple people right now. Yeah. 100%.
Love it.
Love segregation. Just kidding. Say.
I want to thank you for opening yourself up because I know that it is hard and I appreciate it. And I know that, more stuff is going to come up and I'm sure we can probably interview you like a million times because you just are really good at, getting your point across and you're so smart.
Yeah. Oh,
But I
thanks.
appreciate it and I've learned a
Of
lot
course.
from your experience and I'm glad that you are here. Thank you.
I'm happy to
Yes,
do
thank you.
a part 2 of life in Pentecostal church, because while the Mormonism thing was, the reason why I left church, I was Mormon for 6 years. I was Pentecostal for twice as long.
I
Yeah,
need to hear about that.
Yeah, anytime. You guys,
definitely.
anytime. Anytime. Okay.
Hey,
Well,
that was good. Thank you for listening to Girls Gone Godless, where you don't need a secret handshake to get into heaven. If you like this episode, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this episode. It helps heathens like you find bitches like us. If you would like to be a guest on Girls Gone Godless, click the link in the show notes to submit your story. And don't worry, if you want to be anonymous, we have an option for you. See you next week.